are light beings more than we are material beings. And I think that mantra offers this bridge between those two worlds. The spirit element of your being understands that there is no beginning and is no end. And mantra to me is this cheat code to be able to experience life at a different level. Pain, good times, bad times. These were all opportunities for me to be able to widen my aperture to experience reality in a different way. I pay homage to my inner eye of spiritual insight and higher discernment, the source of my compassion, love, and fierce determination. I sever my bondage to worldly delusion, liberate myself from the fear of death, and rest in my immortal nature.
Yo, what's up everyone? And welcome to this very special episode of Stay Grounded with my dearest brother, James Colhoun, the CEO of Gaia, which is a conscious media platform that creates all sorts of positive media related to spiritual practice, emotional well-being, mental health, fringe topics, but really it's about imprinting positive consciousness into your life so that you can feel more abundant and more connected to the truth of reality. He's also an extraordinary filmmaker. He's one of my best friends, actually. I mean, truly, James and I have had such a special relationship over the last few years, and just getting to have a front row seat for his life as he's stepped into deeper levels of leadership is just such a treat. And I'm so excited that all of you get to meet him in this conversation. I mean, this was a conversation that I've personally never had with James. I mean, we've had thousands of conversations off the mic, but there was something about putting a mic on us that allowed us to go to a depth of uncovering around how he actually got into filmmaking and the story with his father. What does devotional practice mean to him? How does he access a transcendent state over fear-based programming that might be showing up in his life? I mean, we went in so many directions, and it was just such a grounding, uplifting and enlivening conversation with somebody that I deeply respect as a soul. And so I hope you enjoy this conversation. If you're somebody who's looking to be inspired by the light and learn tools to access your light, especially in those moments where there's a lot of darkness, in those moments where you feel pain, in those moments where you feel stuck, this is the episode for you. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you for giving us the gift of your attention. And without further ado, here is my dear brother, James Calhoun. Enjoy. Brother James, welcome.
Thank you, it's great to be here.
Wow. I feel like this is like the longest time coming for a podcast. I mean, you are like my brother. You are my brother in every way, shape, and form. And what a journey we've been on together.
Indeed.
And to be here sitting with you, having this conversation, just feels like such my heart, brother. Like, thank you for being you. And I feel so lucky I get to have a front row seat to experiencing who you are today. And I'd love to begin with something that one of my favorite qualities of you is you have this beautiful light that's just like it's like a graceful light that just kind of shines through you. And ever since I've known you, I've just seen you follow that and it sort of guide your choices. And if you feel like you're on just an adventure with this light. And I'd love to ask, like, was this something that was present with you your entire life? Or do you even know what I'm speaking to?
Well, I appreciate the noticing or the feeling, I feel like our connection is something that is very special to me, from the moment I first met you. We had this lightness together, I would say. This joy for life and this desire to bring more light into the world. And I don't know that it's something that I've always felt connected to. I think life's been a journey for me, as I'm sure it is for many people. And there were times when I became more aware of the sort of biophotonic element of my being. that we are light beings more than we are material beings. It's measurable now, and the ancients knew it. And the more that I've went into that element of light, the more that my life has become mystical. And so for me, mystical experiences are something I feel definitely connected to. And so more light, more mystery.
Yeah, and I'm curious, when you say mystical, what do you mean?
I mean, synchronicity, the feeling that, for me personally, I feel like my life has flowed through three distinct periods. And I tend to think of them quite universally for the human experience. The first is like life is happening to me, life is happening for me, and then life is happening through me. And the bridge from life is happening to me to life is happening for me is the whole manifestation, visualization, bringing things into creation. I'm the master of my destiny. The bridge from life is happening for me to life is happening through me is that, oh, wait a second, I'm this small conduit that is both the entire universe and nothing altogether at the same time. That path has been this element of this more light-filled experience that I'm experiencing that you've connected with me on in this part of my journey.
What had to die in order for that part of you to come online?
It's the classic ego death, bro. Ego serves us. It's self-preservation. It stops you from falling off a cliff, having that thought about jumping off a bridge. It makes you want to, do your hair, shave yourself, look good, And then, like, the spirit element of your being understands that there is no beginning and is no end. And that element, I think, is something that we all seek to wish to connect to. And I feel that you and I can speak for you and I because we're close friends, feel connected to this spiritual path, right? This idea that we are human beings having a spiritual experience and we're wishing to connect in deeper with that element of spirit in our lives. And as we move further away from an egocentric worldview to a, spirit-centric worldview, then that starts to change the aperture or the perception of your reality in a pretty material way. And instead of this sort of first viewpoint, you start to have more of a witness consciousness, perspective of the world. Many people tend to experience that in meditation or astral travel, astral projection practices, or dream work where they're outside of their body, witnessing existence. And I think that journey is something that's really exciting. I love this part of my life right now. And I would say that in order to experience more of this light-filled element of my being, I've had to witness the death of my ego in a way.
And what, if you could paint a story of your journey, go back to those moments where the light field was coming online and the ego was dissolving. Can you speak to a moment or a handful of moments in your journey that stand out that were formative in you actually embodying this way of being that I see you so naturally embody now, James? This isn't like a thing you meditate and then all of a sudden this light field comes online. No, like it's an anchored state that I've consistently seen you carry and wear as a part of you. And it's an expression of you. And I see the way you create through it. I see the way you touch people's lives through it. I see the way you lead. I see the way you surrender. And so I can't imagine that to get to this state of embodiment, it was just through a practice.
Well, I think it's, everyone's journey to a deeper level of experiencing life is different, right? For me, my particular recipe or smoothie was partly accidental and partly pain. I think that on the accidental front, I had some experiences in what I call my past life. I studied to be a ship's captain. My dad was like, go get a job after I left school. I was basically surfing and playing in a punk rock band. And that's all I wanted to do. Dad's like, nope, you need a job. So I went and studied to be a ship's captain. I love the ocean. That took me to some very interesting, parts of the world and experiences that I'm very grateful for. It definitely widened my aperture for culture at a very young age. At the very end of that journey, ended up working for two of the top 10 wealthiest people in the world on their private yachts, and got a vision into that experience of reality, and a very clear message that money doesn't equal happiness, that was for sure. And the whole world was focused on, how can I get there? I want to own a sports team, a yacht, be a billionaire. And here I was side by side with some of these people, and their life was quite miserable, at least from my experience and looking in. And in those moments, I was practicing yoga to stay fit for surfing, and I had some mystical experiences happen to me, which I later found out were something to do with this Kundalini awakening experiences, and that sort of shot me onto a path of, impact-focused film production and business, which I never anticipated would happen. That's one part of the ingredients of the smoothie. The second part was pain. I feel that for the vast majority of my life, I had a very cushy existence, and it wasn't until I experienced the deeper sense of pain and loss, or parts of me that were dying, that I awoke into a deeper part of me that was seeking to emerge, and I'm very grateful for that. And to me, those two elements, there was this sort of accidental element of grace, just something happened and my body woke up to a different level of experience, and then pain, that those two ingredients were my sort of recipe for, and I would never say awakening. I think that's not the right term. I would say it's more that I started to experience a wider aperture of reality.
Yeah, your ability to feel more widens. And I find that the difficult moments, at least in my life, whether it was relationship transition and heartbreak, or loss of a family member, or a failure in some form, shape, that then evokes a deep sense of rejection and unworthiness. And then in those moments, there's a cracking open. And that cracking is so vital, I imagine, because what's actually cracking is the part of you that isn't yours.
Yeah.
There's like a light cracking through. And we almost need to allow ourselves to crack all the way open so that light can be. Have you found that to be something?
For sure. I mean, that, some people say, tough experiences in life or a relationship breakup is more of a breakthrough in a way, often for people. And it's difficult to say that to people that are in suffering right now, but retrospectively, most difficult times in life are an evolutionary sort of quantum leap happens in some way. And I've certainly experienced that in my own life, and with my father's experience and personal experiences of mine, where difficult times have resulted in pain and hardship, and then retrospectively being the absolute medicine that was needed.
Can you give me an example from your life? Like, what was a moment of pain
I think that
turned into gold?
I think the first big one was my father being really unwell, and he was suffering pretty significantly. Chronic fatigue syndrome, anxiety, depression, to the point where he was going to hospital with panic attacks, and severe depression to the point where he'd considered taking his own life at some point, and sharing that with us over a dinner table discussion, which absolutely shocked me, because I had this vision of my father growing up. It was super successful. We lived on the water, we had boats, we would travel internationally, we had all the success, and then now he was sort of crumbling in front of my eyes, and I'm this sort of formative young adult and witnessing his demise because of a health constraint. And naturally, he went to the medical profession and was put on all these medications, and it made things worse. And there was this sense of sort of hopelessness that was in our lives at that time, And that experience was something that inspired in me this desire to want to help him, of course. And I think any son or daughter or brother or sister would want to help a family member that's in that sort of pain. And that created this fire in me to want to like help him get well. And this was the first sort of really big challenge that I'd faced in my life that was sort of felt existential in a way. You can have things like, oh, I didn't get the girlfriend I wanted in high school, or I didn't get the job I want, or I didn't get the apartment I wanted. But this was like, oh my goodness, my dad is like knocking on death's door, and I'm 20 something, have looked up to him my whole life, and now he's essentially overweight on 6 different meds, can't sleep, burnt out and really suffering. And that was, in essence, my first big wake-up call or call to action in a way. And that inspired in me a lot of desire to want to help him, and also gave me a lot of anger at the medical profession that they weren't able to help him. And this was the first big, I would say, pain as a teacher or pain as a growth lever for me in my life.
Yeah, and when you say that pain was a teacher, what was it teaching you now in hindsight?
Well, I think it's funny to think that there's a cycle of life whereby at some point the student becomes the teacher, or the son becomes the healer. And I have a child now, I have 2 children, and I have the humility to realize that at one point they're going to come and save me, because they're going to see something, notice something, be open to something, be connected to something that I can't see. And it's a beautiful sort of metaphor to think about, that you can give birth to something and then it can save you. And there was this moment where I realized that I had access to insights and knowledge about nutrition and natural therapies and healing and detoxification that could radically help him, and that I had to be this sort of champion for this idea and bring that to him, convince him, which was difficult, and then to witness that be this enormous transformative impact in his life. And for us to now have this new depth of connection because I was able to be there for him in this darkest moment and to guide him through this process. And and that was a really big moment for me in my life.
A rite of passage.
Yeah.
And it's like a coming of age in some ways, just being able to access the depths of you, the depths of your talents, the depths of insight, see all the pieces, and then channel it with so much care for someone you love, and let that be a defining moment.
Yeah. And by being so guided by what was present for me in my life in terms of the pain that I was trying to help my father move through, that awoken so many different paths and opportunities for me. And I think in retrospect, as I think about that now, and all the other difficult times I've been through in my life, that there is so much opportunity and challenge. And as I look back on that, I was so devoted to wanting to break through to him, to get this knowledge to him. He's like, I don't believe you. You're not a doctor. And I'm like, okay, fair call. I'm a ship's captain, And then I'm like, all right, so I'm going to go study nutrition online. I was going between the Middle East and Europe and the Caribbean. So I started studying nutrition online. I got a certificate. I'm like, look, now I've got a certificate. He's like, well, it's not a doctor. It's like a nutrition consulting thing. So I'm like, okay, so I'm going to go interview some doctors and experts. And the people that I'd been reading and studying, start interviewing them. And I take this footage to him. He was currently living in Fiji. He moved from Australia to try and change his lifestyle and just have some more sort of groundedness and healing. Took this footage to him. He started watching this content and immediately had this massive transformation. And everything that I'd been trying to share with him broke through in that moment. And he started to sort of on board with this idea that his body had this innate healing capacity. and that he simply had to provide the environment that supported that healing capacity. And to get him to make that mental shift was, in Australia we say, like pushing shit uphill. It was hard work, but he finally got there. And after that moment, he was like, I've got it. I'm going to get off all my medications. I'm going to do this protocol. I'm going to do this. And within 3 months, after being 5 years bedridden on 6 different medications, he put on 50 pounds. He couldn't work, debilitating anxiety and depression to the point of, suicidal thoughts. Within 3 months, he was off all of his medications. He'd lost the weight. And within 6 months, he was running 2 or 3 times a week, and he completely regained his life. And this sort of light went off in my head that, and this was a quote that later came out of one of the films, that people don't need medication, they need education. And that's what my father needed to sort of break out of this spell that he was in. And it inspired this whole sort of new direction in my life that I sort of never anticipated,
Yeah, you became a filmmaker.
Yeah. Accidental filmmaker.
What I'm so touched by in this story is that your pain, and not just pain, but love. Love was a big ingredient in this story, and I find in these moments of pain, whether it's love for another, love for yourself, just the love of God, the love, whatever it is, there's a frequency of love that is just so important to touch in those moments, because it then allows those moments to turn into a catalyst for so much beauty. I mean, I met your father. He's a beautiful, strong, I really love his spirit. And your parents are beautiful. And to see the relationship that you have now with them, and to see the path it brought you on. And I feel that in you, James, coming back to the very beginning. It's like, you're so present to whatever's here. And then you take whatever's here and you use that to make the next best choice. And you almost make the next best choice the best next choice. It's kind of like something you do, I've just been noticing. And I'm so intrigued. What role has spirit or God played in those moments for you? Was it always you just being present to creation and just doing your best, or was there a deeper element of God and spirit that was guiding you in those moments as well?
I mean, I think that anyone's relationship with spirit or God or creator or higher self is unique. And for me, it feels like I'm getting, someone's calling me and they've got something to tell me. And the more that I pick up the phone and answer that call, the more calls I get. And it's taken time to learn how to pick up the phone and to learn how to listen. And then over the past few decades, the more that I've done it, the more messages I get. And they come in different forms in different ways. And obviously synchronicity plays a big part in it. Intuition, dream work, certain feeling of guidance or support from, whether it's a guru or a guide or a higher self in a different dimension. All of these feelings together sort of coalesce in a way, and it's just like, that's it, and there's this feeling and knowing. And it's been a beautiful journey to sort of tap into that. And I can't really tell people what that might be like for them, save for the fact that if you feel something very strongly, very intuitively, then the more you move in the direction of that, the more that will unfold for you.
How has fear played a role in you learning to truly follow that?
I think when I was early on in my sort of spiritual journey, I got awoken to a path, a lineage called Siddha Yoga. And there was a mantra that one of the devotees was given that he shared with me. And it's something that I remember on my 5 fingers, and it's everything is absolutely always unfolding perfectly. And I somehow there was some part of my soul that resonated with that mantra at some level from some past life, I don't know, that was so deep. And I was like, yes, that is real. And it was not that everything happens for a reason and it could be good or it could be bad. It was no, that everything was perfect. And I'm like, I love this. I'm going to literally reprogram my mind with this mantra. And so for years, I would repeat this mantra. This is probably about 25 years ago. Everything is absolutely always unfolding perfectly. Difficult times went, everything is absolutely always unfolding perfectly. Great times, everything is absolutely always unfolding perfectly. Meh times, everything is absolutely always unfolding perfectly. And the more that I did this, it was as if I reprogrammed my mind with a new piece of software. And the hardware is the same, but my software got an upgrade, like your phone or your computer. And now my software was like seeing perfection in everything. And as I did that, my whole perception of reality shifted in a way where everything became opportunity. Challenge, pain, good times, bad times. These were all opportunities for me to be able to not so much ascend to a higher level, but in probably retrospect, widen my aperture to experience reality in a different way. And so I would say that mantra for me, and that was one mantra of many that I've received, was a portal to me being able to change my perception of reality. And it didn't have to be Sanskrit, it was English. But it was a way that I could recode my system. And in practicing that, I can look back on that now 25, 30 years later and see how impactful that one software upgrade to my sort of hardware had completely sort of changed the trajectory and the experience of my life.
Yeah, it wasn't even like a stepping out of a fear paradigm. It was actually just reorienting yourself to the reality that there is nothing to fear if everything is always unfolding on time. Was that what it was?
Everything is absolutely always unfolding perfectly.
Great.
And I love it's the absolutely always.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it's so like, it's a completely different frame in reality that even allows you to zoom out. Like, there's nothing to forgive because everything is always, there's nothing to, it's like when you really zoom out at a level, it is actually a technology. The mantra is a technology for accessing the part of you that does not have fear in the system. It's actually the one that's channeling all of those voices, the intuition, the connectivity, the light. And it's so empowering to know that you don't need to go to a, expensive thing or go work this. It's like just being with those moments when you are in the discomfort and having an anchor and a mantra to fall back on and to let yourself feel the divine holding. That alone is enough.
And to think that this 1 5-word English mantra would completely change my life was something I didn't realize at the time. But as you think about the technology of mantra, it's a very interesting thing because we are meat, we are light, we are spirit, we are energy. And there is in our existence, like you say, fear. There's joy, there's all these different, vibrational states that we can experience. And mantra, like you said, can be this anchor to our soul because our physical existence is mired with challenge, separation, hardship, relationship issues, financial issues, health issues. But then our soul is at a totally different level. And your soul can communicate with your body through the power of mantra because the soul knows that it is infinite. The soul knows that it is eternal.
Yeah.
And our sort of here and now ego mind is trapped in a limited perception of reality. And I think that mantra offers this bridge between those two worlds. And it's such a simple technology and it's an ancient technology.
Do you feel like now that you've stepped into this chapter of your life that you lean on the same mantras, or are they evolving to meet the moment you're in today?
I mean, yeah, I've got a got a collection of them now. Once I figured out that one worked, I'm like,
let me find some more.
great.
Some more cheat codes.
Yeah, the cheat code. It's true. It's a cheat code for life. I mean, life is an infinite game, and really, many people listening to this understand that we are human beings having a spiritual experience, right? Sorry, spiritual beings having a human experience. Both is true, and that realization sort of comes with this understanding that you can then, in a way, play the game at a different level. And mantra to me is this cheat code to be able to experience life at a different level. And, the first mantra I was given was English in 5 words, and the mantra that I'm mostly connected to now is the Mahamudrandraya mantra, which is Sanskrit. And its English translation to me is something that I resonate with quite deeply. And it's in Sanskrit, it's Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivarhanam Urvarukamiva Bandhanam Riksha Mukshayam Amritat. In English, it's I pay homage to my inner eye of spiritual insight and higher discernment, the source of my compassion, love, and fierce determination. I love that bit. Then it's I sever my bondage to worldly delusion, liberate myself from the fear of death, and rest in my immortal nature. I mean, if that's not the language of the soul, what is? And in times of challenge, if I repeat this mantra, I'm like, oh, I'm a soul having an infinite human experience.
It's the ultimate upgrade, because you're actually not even playing and dancing in the human game. You're just remembering that you have access to divine light. And to me, that is the most potent place to land, because it almost feels like that's the ultimate mental health tool. It's the ultimate tool for handling any level of crisis, any level of transformation, any level of change, is just being able to surrender to the power that is already within you. And it's like when we access that, there is no problem. There's just this step in front of that step, and then an ever unfolding set of steps that we get to take.
And it's not so much a bypassing of your feelings or emotions. It's more of an alchemizing, and mantra has helped me to alchemize my feelings and emotions as opposed to just bypass them, which I think is an issue. We don't want to not feel. We want to feel, but we want to alchemize. And how do we turn that feeling, that pain, and like you said, the insignificance, the abandonment, all of these feelings, and we want to alchemize them into something that is transcendent.
Oh, I just want to really double click on that. So what you're really speaking to is you can feel and be stuck in feeling and be in the abandonment, the rejection, the story of not enoughness. Or you can feel from a lens of power, from a lens of courage, from a lens of strength, from a lens of mantra. And that then turns into an opportunity to alchemize these core woundings, these core scripts, and truly allow you to transcend and evolve into a higher vibratory state of being.
100%. It's an alchemizing tool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's potent, bro.
It's not new.
No, it's not.
People have been doing this for centuries, and I think that we haven't tapped into that in the modern world. It's like, we're like, no, we know better. We got this, and we haven't got it.
James, what's driving you today? Like, what is like the intrinsic inspirational factor that is coursing through you as you make choices and live your life?
I feel very connected to this sort of the dance, what I like to call the dance between philanthropy and commerce. And I feel that there is so much opportunity for people to break through the challenges of human existence. The pain and suffering of being human, whether it's physical health challenges or mental challenges or emotional challenges. and there is so much knowledge and wisdom that exists, and yet we've crowded our entire landscape with media that's predicated on death, pain, fire, destruction, and distraction, and division now as well. And when I think about what drives me, it's using the power of business combined with the intent of philanthropy to help people awaken to their individual power. And to me, I'm just so fascinated by that intersection. And my journey began somewhat accidentally. When my father was sick, I needed to break through to him, interviewed some people, took him the content, it awoken him. That film became a huge success, went on to Netflix, and that started what became a 2-decade-long entrepreneurial journey, multiple companies, exits, and different films and books and so forth. And to this date, since that moment, I've been fascinated by this intersection between philanthropy and commerce and how to dance between those two worlds and to be of service and to be connected to purpose and to be making a difference. And to me, it's really what I obsess about when I wake up in the morning and go to sleep at night.
It's an infinite game.
Yeah, there's no end. Yeah.
And there's infinite levels to it, and there's infinite levels of magic that can be opened up when you actually just listen to the divine assignment. In many ways, even the role you have at Gaia today is part of a divine assignment. I've felt that for you. It's just been this, you just keep answering the call, bro. Like, I just really feel that. I see it so deeply. Like, it doesn't matter what is in front of you. It doesn't matter if it's your kids in front of you and you get to be the most present father with them. It doesn't matter if Dre's in front of you and you get to be the most present partner. It doesn't matter if you're at a conference and I see you just CEOing and just like fully in your leadership and your devotion. It doesn't matter if it's I've heard you on team calls with the Food Matters team. Like, I'm just like, no matter where I see you, I just feel this incredible devotion. And I'd love to know more, like what does devotion mean to you at this stage in your journey? And how does that principle live inside of the construct that you're creating for your life?
So that's a really pretty deep, cavernous question.
I mean, it's welcome to
Yeah.
the podcast.
Maybe let me think about it in this way. So when my first son was born, I was thinking, what can I gift him? And I'd recently just completed a new documentary, and I'd interviewed Bruce Lipton, and he was talking about how, the conditioning of the human psyche happens from like the 4th trimester to 7 years of age. So I'm like, great, I'm going to give him the mantras that have most been impactful in my life and share them. And there was just 3 to start with. Now there's about 14. But the first is, God resides within you as you. See love in everyone, and everything is absolutely always unfolding perfectly. So these packet of 3, what I believe to be for me the most potent mantras that I've ever experienced, I was saying to him while he was in the womb, and I said to him every night after he's out, and still to this day. I mean, he's 11, he can recite them, and we've got this huge list of them now. When I think about what drives me on a daily basis is this idea of God residing within everyone. And I think that when I grew up, I was taught this idea that God was some guy, a mythical guy in the clouds with a big beard that basically judged you, and you were right or wrong, good or bad. And in the Vedic tradition, as I sort of ushered my way into that world as I was a little older through this spiritual awakening, then they taught this concept of like, oh no, God resides within you as you. And you are the entire center of the universe, not from the egocentric perspective, but that everyone else is also. That helped me to sort of reorient towards this concept that if I am of service to others, I'm ultimately of service to myself. And so that if I wake up and I'm of service to people that are in need, I'm of service to the world with my own unique gifts and story, then ultimately I'm of service to myself. And so that somewhat created in me this drive to want to continually be of service. And I think this is lies at the heart of people feeling connected to a deeper purpose. Once people are of service to others, they feel this fire of purpose light up in their belly. And they're like, wow, I feel like I'm on purpose now. And it makes sense, because when you're of service to others, you're of service to self. And I think that this is the quickest path to feeling connected to something bigger.
And it's that simple.
Pretty much.
When you feel like you're getting in your own way, or when you're thinking about self, or you don't know what to do, go help someone.
Mm-hmm.
Go focus on somebody else. Put your gaze of love and attention and awareness on another, and just imprint kindness. Doesn't have to be anything more than that. And you'll find a depth of connectivity through that devotional act. And it's so simple. It's such a simple practice, and we forget. And we get so caught up in our own stories of how our pain is different, or our challenge is more otherworldly. But if we just zoom out for a second and remember that we all breathe, we all eat, we all love, we all get hurt. And if we just come back to that devotional lens, that there's a God in you, and honoring the God in you helps me remember the God in me. It's such a beautiful way to live your life. And I just heard, that's what I heard in you expressing that. And I see it. I mean, I really do see it, James. Like there's a quality. I think that's what the light is. If we even come back around to the light that I feel in you, the light that I see, it's that light of just being able to see that light in others. And because you can see light, you follow the light. You play your way towards the light, and then it creates more light within you. And it's this upward spiral of light that becomes a way of being and a way of living. And that is magnetic. It is adventurous. It is a gorgeous way to play with life.
I feel that's why we're connected too.
Hell yeah.
I see that in you, Raj. For sure I do. Yeah. Fun.
It's been the best. It's been the best journey. And so what now? What brings you to life now? And what are you most looking forward to?
So much. I'm fascinated by a number of things right now. First is still, I cannot get over the power of media. This is a big thing for me still. We have allowed into our sphere, somewhat unwillingly, this media that predicates itself on fear and separation. And we polluted our entire world with it. And the reason why it's happened is because fear makes us easy to control. Fear moves blood from the forebrain to the hindbrain. It puts us in sort of animal reaction mode. And when we're in that mode, we buy stuff because we're not sexy enough. If we don't smell good, no one's going to love us. If our teeth aren't white, no one's going to love us. And we are in a different operating state of being. And if we're attuned to media that is helping us to connect with a higher resonance, a higher frequency, then we operate in the world in a completely different way, in a more loving, compassionate, empathetic, connected, unified way. That still drives me to this day from the first experience I saw of my father awakening to this 20 odd years ago. The second thing that I'm really sort of driven by and inspired by right now is the power of bending and or manipulating reality in a way. And I feel that as one, and as myself has moved through these states of victim consciousness, of life happens to me, to life happens for me, to life happens through me, as you progress between these, the sort of the nebulous layer to life happens to me, to life happens through me, as you cross that chasm, typically with mantra, that's the easiest boat to cross that river. That as you get into this life happens through me, you start to have this palpable experience of being able to manipulate the perception of your own reality. And I say perception because that is all that it is. You know, our reality that we experience is guided by our own capacity to perceive. And so as people and as I have moved into these states of life happening through me, I'm able to create new realities. And I think that this is very fascinating to me. And I am excited by learning more about it, teaching about it, and helping people awaken to a new power that resides within them that they might not have known about just yet. And as that happens, you can create from a higher level. And this previous state of life happens for me. You're creating from, I want this, I need this. And when your life happens through me, it's like, I want to bring this into the world for the higher good of all.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting. I was talking to Natalie about this recently. Like, it's almost like getting into divine alignment with your divine assignment.
Love that.
That's what that is.
Yeah.
Like when you're in alignment with that assignment, you then become a vessel for whatever wants to flow through.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter what it is. And then all of the talents you've accumulated over your life.
Perfectly prepared for that.
Whether you're a CEO, a father, a brother, a servant, whatever it is, wherever you were.
Yeah.
It's like everything comes into divine perfection when you just allow yourself to align with the assignment.
And I think if you're in this state of life happens for me and you're manifesting, it's common that people are manifesting for their ego material experience. And as you cross this chasm to life happens through me, you're manifesting for this soul, eternal, infinite game. And I feel that there's a lot of people stuck here in this previous form. And as they transition to this state, they're like, oh, wow, this is amazing. This is amazing. I thought I wanted all these things, and actually it was the last thing I wanted. I wanted this. And this is more of a feeling-based experience and an energy and frequency and light-based experience. And it's that's the fun part.
I think that's why both of us do what we do. It's the mission. Get as many people from here to here as possible through as many mediums and ways as possible, because the more we remember our light, the better this world feels, and the more we are part of this big human family dance, and it just feels so nourishing. And James, I truly, bro, just love you.
Love you too, man.
Like you, I actually had zero clue where we were going to go today. We had a little bit of an idea, but this is the one thing I love most about you. I just feel like you're the perfect mix of like down to earth bro with like the most brilliant CEO, with the most devoted spiritual practitioner, with just the combination of family. And like when you put all that together, there are infinite things we can talk about, and there's infinite directions we can go. And I'm just so grateful that you're my brother.
Thank you, man.
And that we get to do this life together. And it's just one giant upward spiral. Giddy up.
Giddy up.
Giddy up.
Super grateful to know you, Raj. It's been a fun conversation, hopefully one of many.
Yeah, totally. Got one last question for you. In the midst of everything you're doing, everywhere you've been, and everywhere you're going, how do you stay grounded? And more importantly, what's one thing you've done every day to become a more grounded human being? I feel like I know the answer to that, but.
It's mantra.
That's like we talked about earlier.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things I do every day. I mean, I like to move. I like to get cold. I like to get in water. The mantra is the anchor. Yeah. Being grateful for this existence and remembering the higher elements of our being, and acknowledging as well, and it's probably good to mention this part of the conversation, that it's a privileged place to be, to contemplate one's existence and consciousness. I understand that not everybody's in such a place, that there are people that are stuck, and that this is a very lucky thing to be able to do. So I realize that I'm have won many different lotteries to be here. And so I want to acknowledge that for people that are listening.
I love you, bro.
Love you too, Raj.
Everybody, that's a wrap for this week's episode of Stay Grounded. I'm your host, Raj. This is your new friend, James. And from us, stay grounded. We'll chat soon.
Thanks for tuning into this week's episode of Stay Grounded. No matter where you're from or what you're going through, I hope it helps you remember just how incredible you are and have always been. If you're on a path of emotional healing or self-discovery and would like to learn how Liberate can support your journey, head to www.rajana.com/liberate. That is LIBER8 to learn more about our current group programs and one-on-one offerings. I love you guys, and I'll see you next week.